One wrong move, and everything you worked for ends.
It didn't feel safe. It felt claimed. I wasn't a doctor anymore.
Saving his daughter might just cost me everything.
I never thought the most dangerous moment of my life would start with a whisper instead of a scream. A man stood so close behind me that I could feel his breath, and the cold metal near my ear told me one wrong move would end everything I'd worked for. I was on my knees in a private medical suite overlooking downtown Chicago, hands shaking, trying to restart nerves in a girl everyone had already given up on. Around us, armed men lined the walls like statues. No phones, no windows open, no last names spoken. I'd been flown in under a fake schedule, paid in advance, warned not to ask questions. Too late for that now. When her fingers finally moved, just barely, a sound escaped her chest that broke something open inside me. Relief flooded the room, but it didn't feel safe. It felt claimed. I sensed it before I saw it. The shift in power, the moment I stopped being a guest and became an asset. Before we go any further, if you're enjoying this already, take a second to like the video and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And let me know where you're listening from. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family, enjoy the story. That was when I finally turned around and met her father. His eyes were calm, almost gentle, but I knew that face. Court transcripts. Whispered rumors. Riven Park. And the way he smiled told me saving his daughter might cost me everything. I didn't know yet that he was already deciding whether I would be allowed to leave. Riven didn't thank me. He studied me like a puzzle he couldn't rush. His daughter slept peacefully for the first time in months, and he sat beside her, brushing her hair back with a tenderness that didn't match the stories written about him. I tried to leave the next morning. My bags were packed. My nerves were shot, but his security team blocked the door with polite smiles and firm voices. He wanted to talk. Just talk. That word meant something different coming from him. He asked about my training, my family, why I refused the bonus he offered that could have paid off my student loans twice over. When I told him I became a doctor to help people, not collect trophies, something flickered in his eyes. Surprise. Maybe respect. Later that night, I caught him watching me work with his daughter again. Not with hunger. With awe. Like he'd forgotten kindness could exist without strings attached. It scared me more than the guns. Then I overheard his men discussing my background. Names from my past. A sealed incident I'd buried years ago. When Riven said my full name out loud, perfectly, I realized he knew more about me than he should. And that meant I wasn't just a doctor anymore. I was leverage. His daughter started moving faster than expected. First her toes, then her knees. The joy on her face felt like sunlight in a locked room. Riven watched every session, silent, controlled, until one day he offered me a car, a condo, and a permanent position in his organization. I said no. The word fell heavy between us. No one had ever told him that before. I expected anger. What I got was curiosity. He asked why I kept pushing him away. I told him because power like his always came with a price I couldn't afford. That's when the truth hit me. I Googled him. I shouldn't have, but I did. The aliases. The blood oaths. The syndicate ties. I stared at my phone until my hands went numb. The man I'd been speaking to every day wasn't just dangerous. He was untouchable. I packed my bags again. This time quietly. When Riven stopped me at the door, his voice was low, almost pleading. He asked me to stay one more week. Just one. Against every instinct I had, I agreed. That night, as I lay awake, I realized the danger wasn't staying. It was how much I wanted to. We never said the word love. We didn't need to. It lived in the spaces between conversations, in the way he listened when I spoke, in the way he let his guard slip just enough to show me the man behind the legend. He told me about mistakes he couldn't undo, people he lost, choices that trapped him long before he understood the cost. I didn't excuse his past, but I saw the loneliness carved into it. For the first time, I saw him as human. And that terrified me. One night, alarms went off in the compound. A rival faction had traced a security leak. I heard my name spoken over radios, followed by the word weakness. Riven's face went cold in a way I hadn't seen before. He ordered me into a safe room without explanation. As the door sealed shut, I heard gunfire echo down the halls. That was when I realized loving him wasn't just forbidden. It was dangerous. And someone out there had decided I was the price he'd pay. The next morning, Riven acted like I didn't exist. No explanation. No goodbye. Just distance so sharp it cut deeper than anger. His men escorted me out like a stranger. I was furious. Hurt. Humiliated. I thought he'd used me, discarded me once his daughter was safe. I flew home feeling smaller than I'd ever felt. What I didn't know was that while I cried on a red-eye flight, Riven was dismantling his empire piece by piece. Freezing accounts. Burning bridges. Preparing to disappear. But plans like that don't stay secret long. A message appeared on my phone from an unknown number. A photo of my apartment building. A single sentence beneath it. He chose you. Now you pay. And in that moment, I understood the truth. He hadn't pushed me away to hurt me. He did it to save my life. The first threat didn't come with a warning. It came with a crash that shook my apartment door and a shadow slipping down the fire stairs before I could scream. I stood frozen in my living room, heart pounding, staring at a crack in the doorframe that hadn't been there an hour before. I called Riven. He didn't answer. That hurt more than the fear. I told myself I was done, that whatever he was fighting had nothing to do with me anymore. Then my phone buzzed with a blocked number. One sentence. Stay away from windows. I spent the night on the floor of my bathroom, lights off, counting every sound. Somewhere across the city, he was tearing his own world apart so mine could stay standing. I didn't know that yet. I only knew I was tired of being protected by silence. By morning, news broke about raids, frozen accounts, men vanishing overnight. Riven Park was erasing himself. And that kind of move doesn't end clean. As I stepped outside for the first time, a car slowed beside me, window rolling down just enough for me to see the gun. That was when I realized this wasn't over. It was just beginning. I didn't run when they grabbed me. I didn't scream. Fear had burned itself out, replaced by something sharper. Anger. They didn't hurt me. They wanted me scared. They wanted him distracted. I was released hours later with a message carved deep into my thoughts. Loving him was a liability. Leaving him was a lie. I finally understood the cold way he pushed me out. It wasn't rejection. It was strategy. His daughter found me before he did. She showed up at my door with tear-streaked cheeks and shaking hands, begging me not to give up on her father. She told me he hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, hadn't smiled since I left. I went back, not because I was fearless, because fear had already taken enough from both of us. If this story has you feeling something, let me know. And if you haven't already, like the video and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. When I walked into his compound again, alarms screamed. Not for me. For him. He was surrounded, cornered by the life he was trying to leave. And this time, I was standing right in the middle of it. Riven didn't fight back the way everyone expected. He handed over evidence. Names. Records. Secrets powerful enough to collapse entire networks. He burned bridges he'd built with blood. He told me he was done running the world. He just wanted a chance to live in it. The fallout was immediate. He became a target from every side. But something changed. For the first time, his power didn't come from fear. It came from choice. He turned himself in, not as a kingpin, but as a man ready to face what he'd done. I held his hand as they took him away, knowing I might never see him again. He looked back once and mouthed 2 words. I'm free. I walked out alone, unsure if love could survive consequences this big. Unsure if I should even hope. And hope can be dangerous when the world is watching. Waiting is its own kind of punishment. Months passed. Then years. I built a quiet life, helped people who didn't know my story, carried his with me like a scar that still ached in the cold. Then one afternoon, I got a call I never expected. He was out. No empire. No shadow army. Just a man with nothing but time and regret. When I saw him again, he dropped to one knee. Not to ask forgiveness. To ask permission. To love me without chains. I said yes, but not to the past. To a future built slow, honest, and fragile. We chose peace, knowing it could still be taken. As we stood together, I wondered if the world would let us keep it. They expected revenge. They didn't expect a wedding. We kept it small. No headlines. No guards. Just sunlight and quiet laughter. His daughter walked him down the aisle, strong on her own 2 feet, smiling like a miracle that refused to fade. I didn't marry a boss. I married a man who learned that real strength is walking away. If this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. Your words matter here. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss another story about love surviving impossible odds. And if you've ever had to choose between power and peace, know this: choosing love doesn't make you weak. It makes you free.